I'm fortunate enough to have this large grassy meadow area behind me that I am slowly converting into flower beds. Now I say slowly because I have been working on it for a couple of years, and it's no doubt going to take me many more years yet before it looks the way I can picture it in my head. But this year things are finally starting to take shape, as early in the spring I cut into it with the mower and marked out where I want my walking paths to be and where my flower beds are going. Hello and welcome. It's early July and a very overcast, cloudy day today, which is wonderful. It means it's nice and cool out in the garden. There's also a decent breeze blowing, so because it should stay nice and cloudy, I'm hoping to get out in the open air and start making some decent progress on my plans for this grassy meadow and turning it into a future flower beds that I can walk through and enjoy. Early this spring, I cut through the meadow grass, creating paths and tracks. So the grassy sections I have left behind to grow tall and naturally as they do each year, I now plan to flatten and cover and mulch, which should give me some nice, clear, defined, weed-free planting spots for future plants to go into. So for today, I just want to get some of those sections flattened, covered in cardboard, with a thick layer of grassy mulch on top. I'm happy to leave it like that till next year, allowing Mother Nature to do her best, breaking it all down and giving me some nice defined weed-free sections to garden in. I already made a start with this little bit, and then we were forecast howling gales and pouring rain, which is exactly what we got. So it hasn't gone any further. At that point I scavenged whatever I could to make a start. So I've got this sheet of lino that's left over from a flooring project in the house that's done a great job of just flattening things to give me just flattening things out. And a couple of compost bin lids laid on the top behind it. So I may use those again on another section as I work my way through the meadow. I've been reclaiming lots of big squares of cardboard for my work, which is wonderful. It would otherwise go back to recycling. Well, I'm going to do the recycling and turn it into lovely garden mulch. I want that to be a triangle shape. I'm actually going to fold this there. There we go. Nice. I have some fencing stakes that I'm using just to pin my cardboard down until I get it covered in mulch. Stop it blowing away in this breeze. It's best to overlap your pieces of cardboard. You don't want to be leaving any gaps for the weeds to work their way through. And I'll have you there, carrying on that edge. That one. Now time to get to work, laying out that cardboard and covering it with a thick layer of freshly cut grassy mulch. Now at the moment I'm using fresh cut grass, as I plan to be cutting while I work. Ideally you want to be using grass that was cut a day or two ago and has already started to dry out a bit. I have some of that as well that I collected a few days ago. A thistle! We definitely don't want that. I'm going to put these couple of thistles I've pulled up into the bonfire. I don't want these prickly spikes lying around to spike me at any future point. Now back to mulching. Pick them up later. More cardboard on here and more mulch. Generally, I mulch with dry grass cuttings, but today, as this is going to be sitting here so long, I'm quite happy to mulch it with freshly cut grass. If I can get it out the mower. Bit stuck. There we go. Nice and wet and heavy. Should help hold this cardboard down. So as you may be able to see, I'm working my way around the edges of the area I want to turn into planting space, so I can define them clearly between my path and my garden. Then in the next round of cardboards and mulch, I'm going to fill in the centre space. There is actually a small hollyhock at the corner of this defined garden bit. I'm not going to flatten her. I shall clear around her by hand, pulling up the bits of grass and weed that are growing too close, and give her a good dressing of mulch as well. As this is going to be flowers, she can stay. I see now my little 18-inch high hollyhock is just out of camera shot. That was a shame. Ideally, it would be nice to actually run the lawnmower over this section of grass, gather it all up, lay down my cardboard and dump the newly cut grass on top. Or even cut the grass, lay the cardboard straight on top and then add more mulch on top of that. The reason I haven't done that and I'm instead stomping around flattening the grass in position is if I run the lawnmower over it, I'll no longer be able to tell which bits I had decided to be path and which bits are now going to be garden. So that's why I'm taking this squashing and flattening approach. Here's the grass that was cut a week ago and gathered up before the howling gales. It's nice and dry now, perfect for this job. Here's my first little triangle bed, covered in cardboard and a thick layer of grassy mulch. Feels good, first bit done, yay! Lots more to do and I'll slowly work my way through it over the next couple of years, I should imagine. But once I've got it mulched and covered, the main priority is to keep it mulched and covered or planted into and not allow any more of those grasses and weeds to grow in this section, and keep the paths mown around it, which will help as I'm mowing the paths. I can put those clippings back on the beds as mulch. I'm planning to plant plants in here varying from knee height, waist height, maximum shoulders. I want to be able to see over the top of all of this area, but still have that feeling of slight enclosedness as you walk through the weaving paths. At the moment this feels a bit flat for me. I'd like it slightly taller. Now this section has been relatively easy. It's a big empty spot with one baby hollyhock in the corner. Some of my places are going to be a lot more fiddly and difficult because I already have some established plants in them and some wild flowers and plants that I don't really want to be losing. And different things appear at different seasons of the year. So as I see something, maybe a cluster of daffodils, I try and find the time to clear around it and lay a thick layer of mulch to at least identify a clear spot that obviously something must be growing in, because once the daffodils have died away and disappeared, you don't know they're there, and I don't want to be covering them in cardboard and thick grass and making life difficult for them next spring. There's quite a few bulbous type plants I've already planted in this area. There's a cluster of irises and big patches of oxeye daisies. I forgot to say, I've left the stakes around this section, so hopefully it will show up on the camera and you can see where I've been working today. But now the cardboard's covered in a thick layer of heavy mulch. Missed it! These stakes can be taken out and I can use them to help pin the cardboard down in my next section before it gets mulch on top. The mulchy grass is quite heavy enough to hold this cardboard down now, especially once we get some rain. Working on my third and last section for today, you can just see me at the top right of your screen. Things have been going well. I got more done than I thought I would. My old tarpaulin has proved very useful to work like a sledge, dragging grass from other parts of the garden as I've been mowing and cutting. That way I don't have to make so many trips back and forward, emptying out the grass box. I can just dump them all on the tarpaulin in the area I'm cutting and drag it to here. Where are we? Oh, Squiffy. Well, that has really changed the landscape. Looking proper gardeny here, rather than just a grassy meadow. I've only managed to do 3 sections, 2 large pieces here and up the top there, and a little triangle in the middle where the hollyhock is, where the big hollyhock is, because this big triangle that I did first has got a little hollyhock in the far corner. I'm exhausted. Not so much exhausted from doing the task of laying the cardboard and covering it in grass, but in order to cover it in grass clippings, I've also been cutting the grass and dragging it all to here where I want it. Well, that's the only job I'm going to tackle today. I'm very pleased. I've taken what was a section of grassy meadow and turned it into something resembling more gardeny. Certainly the beginnings of a flower bed structure and some walking paths meandering through it. I won't be filling it up with plants till next year, possibly in the autumn, but I want to leave this cardboard and mulch lying for a long time with no activity to make sure everything underneath, all the grass and all the weeds, has totally died back, to give me a nice clean fresh start I'm still going to be competing with all the grass and weeds trying to sneak in from the edges. Hopefully we'll be able to take a look in a few years and see how I got on. So bye for now and see you next time. And remember, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it. If you've enjoyed today's video, click that like button and let me know. Click subscribe and YouTube will make sure you see my next video. Bye for now and thanks for watching. And remember, whatever you're doing, have fun doing it. Yeah, that's quite good. If I can stop squinting. Go away, sunshine. Goodness sake, who'd have thought I'd ever say such a thing? Wait for the sun to go away so I can make a video today. Not meant to be here, that's all I've got to say.